we go.
Oh, you're filming? You're just not
Yeah.
taking a picture?
I'm
No,
filming
she's
it.
filming it.
All right, all right. Here we go with the family history. All right, this has to do with my father's, okay, brother. All right. And my father's brother's name is William Bunny, like a little rabbit, Bunny Stanfield Jr. Okay? Now, when he was 19, he was in the First World War, at the age of 19. And I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to send this picture around to all of you. And Bunny Stanfield is the guy with the mustache, it looks like, in kneeling. Okay?
He looks like Brady's boyfriend.
Oh, yeah. So he's
Rico.
19 years old.
What's up with that mustache?
He's over at the Hindenburg line in France. I think that was in France. And they were fighting against the Germans. All right? Now, here is
Very handsome.
Bunny Stanfield Jr. at the age of 44, all right, in the Navy. And how that came about was that right after Pearl Harbor, let me see, where's that other picture? Right after Pearl Harbor, I think this was probably the 18th. Pearl Harbor was December 7th. This was December 18th. Bunny Stanfield, all right, Jr., and his son, at the age of 20, Bunny, or William Stanfield III, go down to the Navy recruiter and join the Navy together. All right, Bunny wound up in Northern Ireland, okay, and his son, the third, wound up on a ship that did Iwo Jima, all right, when they went in to drop off soldiers or to bomb the place, their ship went in and did that. Here's what I'm kind of working towards. And like I said, here's another thing here. That's Bunny on the left, and then again, this is Bunny over here kneeling on the right. And this was called The Last Soldier Recalls Comrades. This was what was up in Middletown, New York. I think they started it in the 60s, 50s or 60s, where they met World War I veterans. They met, I think it was down in New York City, and it got to the point where it was so far to travel that they decided to do it in Middletown, New York. And he was one of the last soldiers, or sailors, whatever. This gentleman here was the last one, but he mentions Bunny in this article about him, as far as he knew, was next to the last, Bunny Stanfield. Now here's an interesting thing about our family at that time was when he came out of the service in World War I, got married, had 3 young children, and his wife passed away. So here,
Bunny's wife did?
yes, Bunny's
His
wife
first
passed away, his
Really?
first wife. And then where he came from, he was from Middletown, but next to Middletown is this little town called Otisville. And up in Otisville, at that time, that period, was what's called the tuberculosis center. And he worked up there as in the maintenance field. Well, there was this young nurse, okay, her name is, or was, Agnes von Kurowsky. She was a nurse also during World War I, but she was stationed in Italy, all right, over there at a nursing facility. And this interesting thing about this whole story is there was a nurse, a young nurse also, again, Agnes von Kurowsky, who joined the Red Cross and was stationed in Italy also. Now, she is 26 at this time in her life. And one of the patients that wound up in this Italian hospital, at the age of 19, he was an ambulance driver, got hurt pretty badly. 19, his name is Ernest Hemingway. Now, of course, have you ever heard of Ernest Hemingway?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Have you ever heard me tell you this story?
Oh, I know this story, Pop.
You do or you don't?
I do.
All right, she does.
They all
All right, all right, so they probably...
But Dallas, I wasn't.
Dallas
doesn't know
the
story. So keep going, Dad.
All right, so anyway, to kind of make it short and sweet, she wound up also at the TB Center up in Otisville. They met, Bunny and Agnes met, and eventually got married, and they were married for 50 years, okay?
Any children of their own?
No, no children of their own.
And what was the book that Ernest Hemingway wrote about her?
In Love and War.
A Farewell to Arms.
Farewell to Arms, the movie.
Farewell to Arms. This is a picture of her as a nurse. Okay, if you want to pass it around. This is another picture of her. I'm not sure how old she was here. Absolutely, absolutely gorgeous. Now, what's another interesting thing about her? Her grandfather, her mother's father, was a general during the Civil War.
Wow.
All right?
Quartermaster General.
Quartermaster General, thank you. And he is buried in, I think, the Soldiers and Airmen's Cemetery. This is next to Arlington. And actually where he is buried, there's a huge monument about him. And they were allowed, Bunny and Agnes were allowed to be buried next to him, only because she turned in a diary about her life somewhat and her experience during World War I. And that diary is in the JFK library. Plus the fact that when Agnes and Ernest were kind of an item somewhat, she said there was never anything that went beyond exchanges of love letters and stuff. That was basically, she said, that's where it went. That she did get involved with some other person in Italy. That person made her destroy Hemingway's letter. He, in turn, has her letters in the JFK library by her. All right? And anyway, here's the interesting
So there's
part.
no letters that he wrote to her?
No,
Nothing.
they were destroyed.
They were destroyed. Here, when we were down in Florida this past January, my wife Nancy and I went to what's called the Southwest Florida Military Museum. And while we were in there, I'll kind of pass this around, we noticed that you could have kind of a little display of a relative with their picture on it, all right, that they would keep in the library for a year and give some basic information about their tour and so on. So that's what I'm doing. I'm putting something together. I'm going to have this sent, all this information sent down. And here's the information. William Bunny Stanfield Jr., 1917 to 1919, age 19, World War I. 107th Infantry of the 27th Division at Hindenburg Defense Line. Casualties included 1,383 wounded and 437 killed. Now the one thing here, this was a group out of New York that was in that Hindenburg situation. And I believe it's this gentleman here on the left that was killed, all right, from this unit. So anyway, there's some other stuff we can pass around. This again is him and his son. They were on the. There was a picture of them. All right, and here was a letter from United States Soldiers and Airmen's Home, Office of the Board of Commissioners, January 1983. This was a letter to them that said that they would be entitled to be buried in that cemetery next to, his name was General Hollibird. That was the grandfather to Agnes.
I heard that.
So again, I'm going to be sending this information down there. They will make it a display. It's beautiful, and I think it's fairly new in Cape Coral, that area, Sharon. Beautiful museum, big room, but it's almost like they need a bigger building now. There's so much stuff in there, and just the display of anyone that wants to do something like that. And I think, right,
Or really.
yeah, you know, send a picture of someone who was in the military, you know, they display it for a year and then they send it back to you.
And
They
tell
give it
them
to you.
about the banner.
The
You're
what?
gonna pay for a banner, a poster, big.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like a large poster, and it's well done, how they do it, that you can kind of fold it up, I guess. And, yeah, and it's displayed there for a year, and then they send it back to you. But I think just this information, and I might be wrong, that they might, and I'm going to give them my email and my telephone number, if they want more information about this whole story. I mean, how many people have, and how many are in World War I and World War II? And then have this other history behind them. So, like I said, I think this will be Agnes von Kurowsky to Ernest Hemingway. Oh, read this. Ernie, dear boy. You know what she called him in her diary?
Dear boy.
The kid.
The kid,
Oh,
The kid.
because he was
younger than her.
7 years.
She says, I am writing this late at night after a long think by myself, and I am afraid
Well, you're speaking to.
I am afraid is going to hurt you, but I'm sure it won't harm you permanently. For quite a while before you left, I was trying to convince myself it was a real love affair, because we always seemed to disagree and then argue, and then arguments always wore me out, so that I finally gave in to keep you from doing something desperate. Now, after a couple of months away from you, I know that I am still very fond of you, but it is more important as a mother than as a sweetheart. It's all right to say I'm a kid, but I'm not, and I'm getting less and less so every day. So kid, still kid to me, and always will be. Can you forgive me someday for unwittingly deceiving you? You know, I'm not really bad. I don't mean to do wrong, and now I realize it was my fault in the beginning that you cared for me, and regret it from the bottom of my heart. But I am now and always will be too old, and that's the truth. And I can't get away from the fact that you're just a boy, a kid. I sometimes feel that someday I'll have reason to be proud of you, But dear boy, I can't wait for that day, and it was wrong to hurry a career. I try hard to make you understand a bit of what I was thinking on that trip from Padua to Milan, but you acted like a spoiled child, and I couldn't keep on hurting you. I only have the courage because I'm far away. Then, and believe me when I say this is sudden for me too, I expect to be married soon. And I hope and pray that after you thought things out, you'll be able to forgive me and start a wonderful career and show what a man you really are. Ever, admiringly and fondly, your friend, Aggie.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Good job, Tom.
All right. Yeah.
All right,
So
I'm
that's
gonna
just,
shut it off, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was quite a letter.